thank you so much for having me today. You early risers who are here at this hour, I know you're all really dedicated to the cause because I know we had a lot of fun last night. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference. And I'm just going to come here today and give you a little bit about my thoughts about where we are at in this market, where we're headed, and a little bit of a motivational speech because I think right about now we all need a pick-me-up. So my name is Megan Nilsson. I go by Crypto Megan on social media. I am a high-end crypto and NFT consultant for portfolios for investors, companies, celebrities, and also helping them bridge the gap from Web 2 to Web 3. And it's been such an incredible journey, but along the way I decided that Web3 ethos is not the few at the top having the information, it's for the many. So I wanted to go on a tour to do a world speaking tour, speaking at all the top events in the world, to help educate and advocate for women, which is a huge thing for me. So all you ladies in the audience, thank you for being here too. I see you. And so I wanted to start this off with just a few things and a little bit of an introductory to what I'm about to say. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, he went through some tough times when he started Amazon, and he chose the path less traveled by, and that benefited him greatly. And he told a story when he was first beginning. He said, I had this idea and I decided to go with it. And you can have a job, you can have a career, or you can find a calling. And if you can somehow figure out to find a calling, you have hit the jackpot. Because one of the biggest problems in this space when everything was going wild and exuberant, and right now in general, is that people saw the opportunity. There will always be opportunists who wanted to jump in and do that cash grab and do things that weren't so transparent, but now we're left with us, the builders, and the question is, when times get tough, will you give up or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic or will you be a builder? And so he said to his old boss, I'm going to quit and I'm going to go for this thing. And his boss said, that's insane. He said, I'm going to make $100 billion someday if you invested in me. He had that kind of conviction because he had a calling. And, I would like to believe, and in fact, I feel deep down inside that this is my calling. And I want to spread this message to as many people as I can. And so I'm so glad I can be here with you all today to just kind of give you a little bit of what's going on in the market right now. We'll go through what's happening and then how I believe we're going to come out of this. So here's a little bit about my introduction. I'm also heavy into the NFT community. I did Twitter Spaces right before I came here. It was about 2 hours long, sorry. And people are just so interested right now in how can we pick up the pieces and move forward. So that's what I'm seeing on the inner Web3 circle. And I'm also a part of Bored Ape Yacht Club, World of Women, Boss Beauties, and all of those NFT communities that are as tight as ever right now. And I would argue that many people from the past, many curious people, believe that this would be an incredible time to be alive. And going back to Amazon, the first, I don't know how many years that Amazon was starting out, it had a correction of about 35% every year. This is what happens with new and nascent technologies. We go through rough patches. We have ups and downs. This isn't easy, and this is not pretty. Revolutions aren't easy, and they can be bumpy along the road, but what matters is that we continue to be relentless in our journey, in what we believe in, and stand for the conviction we have in this space. So, thank you to everybody who's in the audience today. I do have a private group where I educate. I send information and news in real time, and also opportunities that I come across when I meet some of the high-end professionals in the industry. I see what happens behind the scenes, and so I try to keep my people as updated as possible. So if you like what you see here today, and you can tag me and AIBC, and I will add you to that group at no cost to give back to everybody who's here to listen to me today. So that's Crypto Megan on Twitter and on Instagram. This is just some of the photos of the people I've come across along the way. One of them is Queen Diambi from Congo. I met her here at this very conference in Dubai, and she's just absolutely amazing. That's the royal family, the sons of the royal family in Dubai as well. Michael Saylor, Akon, who's heavy into this. Kathy Wood, that's the ambassador of El Salvador. And there's Tim Draper. I just saw him at Web Summit, the senior vice president of Binance. These are the people that I'm talking to and networking with regularly. And so I can give insights to people that you don't see in the news and the mainstream media that tries to beat you down and say crypto's over, crypto's dead. It most definitely is not. And I think we can all agree on that here. There's Eva Longoria. This was a Shark Tank edition I did with Santander Bank, who's actually investing in blockchain technologies in Spain. So this is also what I like to start off with every time, and that I started out in the last bear market. I made one of my biggest investments of my career, and it benefited greatly. And I had the foresight to think, okay, I'm going to go through all of these. I'm going to see what's going to be lasting, what's going to stick. And I ended up doing a 65x on Cardano, and I truly believe that anybody who invests now for the long term, in slow and steady, they are going to be able to do this to their portfolios and much more, maybe even 100x. And this isn't, something to hype everybody up and get everybody excited, but there's much more at stake here. I mean, this is also financial freedom, financial sovereignty. We have the opportunity now to invest in these assets at record low prices. And so this is what I'm doing now. I'm positioning myself for the next bull run. I'm 2 steps ahead. I'm playing chess because I believe in this industry. And so the coins that I believe are going to have longevity, I'm getting exposure, laddering in as this crash continues. And this is what I like to show also on the technology adoption curve. Right now, we're probably under 300 million users as we stand because of the crash and people being burned and being upset about what happened. But by the end of the decade, we're expected to onboard 3.4 billion more users, according to this technology adoption curve. And according to CZ, the founder of Binance today, he says 8 billion in the next couple of years. What is this industry going to look like when we have 8 billion users? And here we are. Many people in the mainstream saying crypto's not going to make it, they leave and die. They're the same people that sell at the top. And they sell at the bottom and they buy at the top. So I don't want that to be you. And there's so much more than just a financial revolution going on too, which I'll explain later. This is what I call the golden zone of opportunity. It's one of the 5 best opportunities in Bitcoin's history to invest right now. So in my mind, I think about what does it matter if Bitcoin goes down now to 14 or 13? Nobody can catch the bottom. Absolutely nobody. And nobody can plan the bottom. So I'm planning accordingly and helping my clients and people in my group as well. It's the longest cluster of extreme fear and greed that we've had in the history of this asset. And a fun fact is that for the first time ever, it's coupled with a macroeconomic bear market. So there's a lot at stake here. And I understand that people are scared, especially after what's happened. And I'll just jump over this. This is basically the spikes that you see in extreme volume that usually happens on capitulation before the market starts to turn around. So we've seen those in other previous iterations. Right now, just to give you some insight, the most supportive area in Bitcoin right now is 13.7K. And so if we go down below, if we don't close this month above 19.5K, we can almost definitely assure that we'll go down to these levels. And this is just some of the biggest support levels in Bitcoin's history, just to give you a background of where we are technically. And then getting into FTX, it's really sad what happened. He said he's sorry at the end of this, but before this, he was, described as the JP Morgan of crypto. He's saving crypto, all this exuberance. And he says he messed up, he should have done better. But then he comes back and he says, to CZ, well played, you won. As if this were a game, as if playing with customer funds were a game. This is the problem. People are putting their faith in people, in reputations, just like we do in the real world. We give people loans on borrowed money and just because of their reputation in the real world. The banks work this way. They run on fractional reserve models, meaning they can loan up to 90% of customers' assets, and they're backed by the US dollar. But the problem is exchanges aren't backed by the US dollar. They're not backed by anything. So when you start using customer funds and you have no liquidity to sell, that's exactly what happens. It's the Ponzi scheme unravels and nobody can get their money after there's a bank run. This is kind of like the flywheel, I call it. So it's something that happens in crypto all the time. You pump the token, you mark gains to the balance sheet, you show gains to investors, and you raise cash through equity sales or loans. And this is what Sam Bankman-Fried has been doing. He's been leveraging. One person said, if you know nothing about leverage, you know nothing about crypto at all. So Sam Bankman-Fried was leveraging that money to buy things with money he never actually had in the first place. And when this bank run happened on the exchange and customers couldn't get their money out, the wheel unraveled. And so it's very unfortunate to see, but the takeaways we can get from this are never use a token you create as collateral. Don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiently. And that's what he was doing. He was misappropriating users' funds. He donated $4 billion of users' funds to his hedge fund, Alameda Research, to try to keep it afloat. A lot of illegal things going on. And it was left unchecked. And he donated a lot to the government, a lot to the Democratic campaign. And he was called out out for it. And that's basically like some people equate it to him trying to buy protection to the likes of Goldman Sachs back in the Lehman Brother days. Only this Lehman moment happened in 24 hours, and that Lehman moment happened within 3 days. So it's very similar, and it's kind of like the same old system entering crypto, which is not what we want. This is about them buying protection. And this is about his ties to the government and the SEC and all the things that are going on. But I have very little time, so I want to leave you guys with what I believe is about to happen in a very abbreviated version. The trends in underlying crypto are people who are irresponsible and didn't take their money off of exchanges and trusting these big guys. They're too big to fail. This is never going to happen. But let me tell you, it can and it will. And we should all be cautious. And we should all be trying to educate those around us. We shouldn't custody our coins on exchanges. Exchanges are headed toward a decentralized future where they don't custody crypto at all. We should learn to use cold storage. We should use offline wallets and to custody our own crypto. And, this is Kevin O'Leary. I won't get too into this because I am out of time, but he was a big spokesperson for FTX. Unfortunately, that all came unraveling for him. But just to give you an idea of where this is headed, he believes, and I agree with him, that if stablecoins are regulated one-to-one with the US dollar, that's going to do a lot for all of these institutions and sovereign wealth funds that have zero exposure to crypto. There's oil barons in the UAE bringing in $250 million a day who have zero exposure to crypto. So when this starts to get US legislation, especially with the stable coins on that front, imagine the capital that's going to come pouring into this market and the liquidity we're going to get. We're in the maturation stage right now. We're getting closer because of this, and this whole thing is going to push regulators to start moving a little bit faster. But once this regulation happens with the stable coins, it's, the floodgates are going to open up, and we're going to get trillions of dollars in capital. We're so small now. We're so small. We're under $3 trillion. So I believe this is an excellent buying opportunity, and it will be for the coming months and however long this lasts. But we shouldn't be concerned with how long this lasts. We should know that we should just be patient, because the impatient money has always been transferred to the patient money, and this will happen. This amazing unraveling of what Web3 represents in this revolution will come to fruition. And if you're here to stand the test of time, then getting positioned early is the absolute best thing to do. And to finish off the presentation, Key says crypto will become the 12th sector of the S&P, serving all 11 sectors. If you ignore this transition, it's like saying the internet is only good for porn back in the 90s when it emerged. The internet has touched everything in every sector, and the same thing will happen for crypto. I guarantee the same thing will happen for crypto. It's going to revolutionize our lives and make them better and easier, and the utility is there. We need the liquidity. So to wrap this up, the conclusion: 70% of real money, sovereign wealth, and pension plans are not in this yet. You go long on Bitcoin and you wait. Tim Draper, another guy, he actually still stands by, I met him in Web Summit in Portugal, he still stands by his prediction of a $250,000 Bitcoin. I don't really entertain these predictions, but just to give you an idea, these people are still as bullish as ever. This is going to happen, but we need that regulation first, and we as a community need to rally behind this movement, stand up for what we believe in, and pick up the pieces and make this better. So I hope that all of you today, I know that all of you are involved in this revolution and that you're all going to do your part in making this happen, and I really appreciate you for having me today. Thank you so much.